On January 13, 2026, Michael Carrick took charge of Manchester United without a preseason, without warm-up fixtures, and with Manchester City as his first opponent.
Carrick's not the best option for Man United.
Guardiola's side had been the Premier League's most consistent positional team for years. Nobody expected a result. That expectation was reasonable. Manchester United 2, Manchester City 0.
Fernandes checks back again and scores. Flag stays down.
Since that result, United have collected 26 points from 12 league games, a pace that would comfortably secure a top 4 finish over a full season. They have beaten City, Arsenal, Tottenham, and Aston Villa. And they have done it with the same squad that finished 15th the previous season. The question worth asking is straightforward. What changed, and why did it take so long for anyone to change it? To understand what Carrick did, you first need to understand the tactical problem he inherited. Rúben Amorim arrived with a defined style and a strong track record in Portugal. His preferred structure, a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, had worked effectively at Sporting. The difficulty was that the United squad had not been built with that system in mind. The 3-4-3 makes significant demands. Wingbacks need to provide width going forward and recover quickly in defense. Midfielders need to cover large distances. Centre-backs must defend wide channels when the shape is stretched. United's squad profile did not fit those requirements cleanly, and the results showed it over time. Bruno Fernandes, United's most productive creative player, was often deployed in a deeper midfield role, receiving the ball well outside the range where he creates most effectively.
Bruno Fernandes! There is ice in those veins!
Amad Diallo, operating as a wing-back, was frequently positioned too deep to contribute in transition.
It's Ahmad! He might just have won it! Ahmad with the goal!
Kobbie Mainoo, a midfielder with good spatial awareness and composure on the ball, started rarely.
It is with Bruno Fernandes, miskicked it, Mainoo! United 2 goals to the good.
Meanwhile, Manuel Ugarte, who did start regularly, finished the season with a differential of -10, though it should be noted that figure reflects team context as much as individual performance.
Better, Ugarte's forwards! They've equalised!
In 19 league games under Amorim this season, 2 wins, 8 draws, 9 defeats. 14 points at a rate of 0.74 per game. The previous season ended with United in 15th place, their lowest Premier League finish. The substitute goals tally, 2 in 14 months, reflected how little attacking impact was coming from the bench. Carrick's first significant decision was structural: move back to a back 4. That single change reoriented almost every player's role. Full-backs became full-backs again. Wide players operated higher and more centrally. The pivot was reduced to 2 genuine holding midfielders, with Bruno Fernandes freed into the number 10 position in front of them. The base shape was a 4-2-3-1, but the important detail is how it adapted in game. Against Arsenal, when the opposition pushed both fullbacks forward and inverted their wingers, United's structure shifted into a compact 4-4-2 mid-block, and at times into something closer to a 5-3-2, with Dorgu tracking Timber's runs and Casemiro or Mainoo dropping into the channel between fullback and center-back. The shape wasn't fixed. It responded to what the opposition gave them. One specific change that went largely unnoticed. Under Amorim, Amad defended as a wing-back, positioned deep and wide, leaving him poorly placed to contribute once United regained possession. Under Carrick, he defends higher and more centrally. The practical effect is that United have an additional player available earlier in counter-attacking sequences. The cultural reset was equally deliberate. Training sessions are shorter but more focused, reportedly finishing by early afternoon. Players are given individual video analysis. Those not in the starting lineup are told directly why. After matches, Carrick speaks to the full squad regardless of the result, a routine that, according to The Athletic, was not standard practice under Amorim. These are not transformative changes. They are the kind of clear communication and structure that players tend to respond well to. Manchester City 0, Manchester United 2. The City result was notable for how United managed the game without the ball. They set up in compact lines, denied City's preferred central channels, and forced them into wide areas where the threat is lower.
One with Donnarumma, goes past him, and opens the score.
City still had the majority of possession. That was expected. What changed was that United controlled the spaces that mattered rather than the spaces that didn't. 2 goals, clean sheet, and a performance that held its shape from start to finish. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3. The Arsenal game was a clearer test of Carrick's system under pressure. Arsenal led and had momentum.
It's back into the box, chance for Erdogan, oh, it's been turned home. Well, that's a really fortunate...
United's response was to stay organized, maintain shape, and wait for the right moment to press.
Opportunity, mistake from Arsenal, and Bruno in behind, takes a touch, scores for Manchester United!
When Zubimendi received the ball in a difficult position with Mbeumo closing, the press worked. A misplaced pass, an interception, and a composed finish to level. It was a situation United had likely rehearsed, when to press and when to hold. The 2-1 goal was the most tactically instructive moment. Casemiro dropped between the center-backs, Shaw advanced on the left, and Dorgu moved inside to receive. Saka followed Shaw, which opened the passing lane into Dorgu. The goal itself had an XG of 0.04, an exceptional finish, but the space it came from was created deliberately. That combination had clearly been worked on in training. Arsenal equalized late. United, away from home and under pressure, did not lose their shape. Cunha's winner, a composed curling finish from outside the box, was an individual moment of quality. But the platform that allowed United to stay in the game and find a third goal was tactical. 2 wins from 2 against top 2 opposition, with a clear, repeatable defensive structure in both.
As Dorgu emerges with possession and scores an absolute screamer.
What has made United's attack more consistent under Carrick isn't simply that the players are better positioned, though that matters. It's that they are working from a shared set of attacking principles that create movement and space deliberately, rather than relying on individual improvisation. The first is the up-back-through sequence. United play forward to draw the defender out, lay the ball back to reset, then play in behind the space the defender just vacated. The defender has to commit to the first pass, recover, then press the second. And in that moment of transition, United attack the gap. Against Aston Villa, this was a recurring pattern through the center of their mid-block, even if the execution wasn't always clean. The second is counter-movement between Bruno Fernandes and the runners ahead of him. When Bruno moves towards the ball in central areas, he draws the nearest defender with him. That movement creates the lane for Mbeumo or Šeško to run in behind. The defender cannot track both simultaneously. This isn't telepathy. It's a coordinated pattern that requires players to read each other's movement, and United are getting better at it. The third is the blindside run, most evident with Diallo against Villa. As defenders focus on the ball, a runner moves into the space behind them before they can adjust. Width is what enables this. When United stretch the pitch on one side, the opposition shifts across, and the switch to the other side arrives before the defensive line can reset. What the pass maps across different games show is consistency of principle with variation in application. The player cluster was on the left against City and Arsenal and shifted centrally against Fulham. The underlying logic, proximity, movement, width, stayed the same. That kind of flexibility within a defined structure is what makes a system difficult to prepare for. Most of what Carrick has built in attack runs through Bruno Fernandes. That wasn't the case for much of this season. Under Amorim, Bruno was used in a deeper midfield role, often alongside Casemiro as a double pivot, which moved him away from the areas where he is most effective. The switch back to a number 10 position, with freedom to operate in the final third, produced an immediate improvement in his output. By late March, 8 goals, 16 assists, and 24 goal contributions in 28 league appearances. Second only to Haaland across the entire Premier League in that period. He leads the division in line-breaking passes that lead directly to a shot, with 44.
It is Bruno Fernandes, and he is rapidly becoming the talisman of the team.
His goal contributions this season have been directly associated with 23 points for United, the highest figure for any individual player in the league. The 100-goal and 100-assist milestone he reached this season for United is worth contextualizing. He got there in 319 appearances.
Messi then has plenty of space. Oh, that is absolutely majestic.
For comparison, Cristiano Ronaldo reached the same combined tally in 341 appearances for the club, and Lionel Messi in 338 at Barcelona. The pace at which Bruno has accumulated those numbers places him in historically significant company. Those comparisons come with the caveat that different eras and roles make direct comparison difficult.
Beyond Cavani, and Bruno Fernandes comes up with an outstanding finish.
His 16 assists this season set a new single-season record for United, ahead of David Beckham's mark from 1999 to 2000. He is 4 assists away from Thierry Henry's all-time Premier League record. What separates Bruno from other creative players isn't pace or physicality, it's the speed and accuracy of his decision-making.
How impressive are you, Bruno Fernandes?
He's exceptional.
Here's Bruno Fernandes!
He regularly uses body shape and ball movement to manipulate defenders before the pass is made, creating fractions of space that most players would not identify, let alone exploit. Carrick didn't improve Bruno's technical quality. He returned him to a position where that quality is most useful.
Bruno Fernandes! Was it over the line? Referee says yes!
Šeško arrived last August for a reported €76.5 million. His first half of the season under Amorim produced 2 goals in 16 appearances. Numbers that didn't justify the fee and, in a more rigid system, didn't give him the right conditions. Under Carrick, his role became more defined. Get into the box, arrive at the right time, finish. The results have been significant. Since January 2026, 1 goal every 65 minutes, the highest rate in the Premier League over that period among players with at least 300 minutes. Haaland's rate across the full season is 1 every 67 minutes.
Bruno Fernandes can do it here. Benjamin Šeško! What a finish! What a pass!
6 of Šeško's goals came as a substitute, contributing directly to 11 points. United's entire squad scored 2 substitute goals in the 14 months under Amorim. By matchday 31, joint top scorer with 9 goals from the equivalent of 14.9 full appearances. The improvement reflects how he's being used as much as a change in form. His positioning has become more central and box-focused, and when a striker of his profile receives service in the right zones, those numbers follow. Cunha has contributed 7 league goals despite playing in a wide left role that doesn't entirely suit him. His most effective work comes centrally, and Carrick has given him license to drift inside at times. The goals against Arsenal and Aston Villa came from those central positions. There is still some inconsistency in his positional discipline on the left, but the output has been there. Mbeumo is United's joint top scorer with 9 goals in 28 appearances, the most consistent contributor in the attack. His recorded top speed of 36.36 kilometers per hour is among the highest in the league, and that pace functions as a tactical asset in transition, giving Bruno a direct forward option. Only 21.7% of his shots are blocked, compared to around 35% for Garnacho and Rashford in previous seasons. He finds clean shooting angles more reliably than United's recent wide players. Across the 4 forwards, Bruno creates, Mbeumo and Cunha move and press in the final third, Šeško occupies the penalty area. The system works because the roles are complementary. Each player's strengths cover for a gap in the others. The immediate question around the club is whether Carrick will be given the job permanently. There is no confirmed answer yet. The club has not made a public commitment, and there are likely to be other candidates considered before any decision is made. What the results do is complicate that conversation, because the improvement under Carrick has been consistent enough that any incoming manager would need to be a significant step up to justify the change. Matchday 31, United third with 55 points. Arsenal lead on 70, City second on 61. Aston Villa are 4th on 54, 1 point behind United. Champions League qualification is a realistic target for the first time this season. Kobbie Mainoo is worth singling out in this context. He is 20 years old, came through the academy, and was barely used under Amorim despite the team's struggles in midfield. Carrick has trusted Mainoo with regular starts, and he has responded. That decision alone illustrates the difference in approach. Carrick's achievement here is less about tactical innovation and more about returning clarity to a squad that had lost it. Players are better positioned, roles are more clearly defined, and the team has a more consistent understanding of how they are expected to defend and attack. Those improvements show up in the results. There are genuine limitations still to address. The left side lacks a specialist wide player. Cunha's natural game is central, and that creates predictability on that flank. Final third execution remains inconsistent when United face a low defensive block. And 12 games, however strong, is a limited sample. The full picture requires more time. United sit third with 14 games remaining. Whether Carrick continues beyond this season is a decision the club has not made public. What the evidence shows is that the squad is performing significantly closer to its actual level. The gap between this form and what came before is too consistent to dismiss, and too recent to treat as settled.